The
terrible.
fact that you even have to say that kills me because honestly, I hear it all the time. I mean, what do you say to somebody who says, "Oh, why should we even bother? They're going to come in, they're going to rip everything out anyway."
Yes. I tell them that, okay, if you walked into your own home that
Mhm.
first time, would you want to pay $1.9 million for this home? And
Bingo.
If you're in the process of selling your home or preparing your house to sell, this season of the Behind the Renovation podcast is perfect for you. Over the next few weeks, I'm interviewing industry professionals and related businesses for the Home Selling Success Series to help you understand what home selling, buying, and renovating looks like in 2021 and how you can prepare yourself for the good, the bad, and that elusive virtue called patience. In today's episode, I am interviewing Mike Bowie, who is currently president and CEO of EQ1 Real Estate, a boutique real estate brokerage in San Jose, California. Under Mike's leadership, the firm has grown from a team of 6 realtors in 2013 to a team of 30 realtors. The company was awarded the prestigious Inc. 5000's fastest growing private companies in the U.S. in 2018 and again in 2019. The company holds the number 9 spot on the Silicon Valley Business Journal's top real estate firms list and is ranked at number 23 for top San Jose companies by Inc.com. When not in the office, Mike enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 children and their Labradoodle. You can find Mike on Instagram at whoismikebowie or visit him at eq1realestate.com.
Renovating your home doesn't have to be difficult. It's all about understanding some key principles and having a plan. Welcome to the Behind the Renovation podcast. I'm your host, Alice T. Chan. I've been obsessed with all things home since I was 10 years old and have been improving homes professionally for nearly 2 decades. This podcast is dedicated to helping you navigate the messy and the magical when it comes to home improvement. Consider this the real talk behind the scenes, not the produced plot twists of home and garden television shows. Each week, I'll share my tried and true tips, lessons, and interviews with real people just like you who have renovated and lived to tell about it. Get ready to ugly cry happy tears as you do the happy dance. Okay, let's do this. Your new and improved home is waiting. And hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Alice. How are you?
Fantastic. Well, as we are going to be talking about the real estate market in 2021, you are in my market, so we are in the Silicon Valley. You're located in San Jose, California. And tell me a little bit about what the current real estate market is like locally.
Well, the local market, if I could sum it up in one word, is crazy.
Some things never change, right? Because I think I've been hearing that for the last decade or more.
Exactly. It's with the pandemic and everything, it's really caused this fear of missing out. And the buyers and sellers' desires and their needs and their ability to purchase and everything within the last year has just been pretty crazy. We're seeing prices that don't make any sense when it comes down to market comparables. Just locally in San Jose, we've seen almost like a 30% increase within the last year in appreciation. National average is 3 to 4% per year per annum there. So
we are in a special little community here. We're so lucky. If you're selling, you're in a great position, but then you got to turn around and buy something, right? So are you finding that people are staying local? Are they selling and moving away? Because we keep hearing about, oh, everybody's going to leave California.
Yeah, we have a lot of people actually are selling and still buying in San Jose. There are those who are downsizing from the large estates down to smaller home downsizing. And then there are those that during the pandemic, they realized or had an awareness that my home, what it is. I need one extra bedroom that is an office space, or I need more yard space. I want more space to build in a pool or even an ADU. So everyone's desires and their needs changed during the pandemic, and we could definitely go into like more details.
Right.
But there are those who have left the Bay Area, and we always advise that it's a one-way ticket. Once you leave, 6-7 months later, you want to come back to the Bay Area, your same home that you just sold has now appreciated maybe 50, 100,000, depending on what neighborhood it was in, and can you afford to buy it back?
Right. So, most people can't. Most people can't. Once you leave, like you said, it's a one-way ticket. The sticker shock alone coming back, you'll cry.
Yeah, and this September, October, a lot of the large tech companies are stating already that they want their employees back in 3 to 4 days out of the week. So imagine the migration back to the Bay Area, and the inventory levels haven't changed. If anything, it's gotten less and less. So the rental market, in my opinion, and what I forecast is the rental market's going to explode. Everywhere between Mountain View, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, right where all the tech hubs are, those prices are going to go up in terms of rents. And the prices for sale are going to astronomically climb too at the same time. So probably a migration back to the Bay Area, gearing towards the end of this year. So
that's going to be really interesting. Like you said, when people are starting to return to their offices, you're no longer working from home full time. I think there was a lot of people who moved away thinking, oh, I could work remotely, and
100%.
It's a rude awakening.
Yeah.
In short order, in very short order.
It's coming up real soon too, and real fast.
Real soon. Well, I'm excited because as a parent, I'm sure you know, having your children at home during this whole year and a half actually has been challenging, and more so for people with younger children than with older ones. But regardless, everybody is hopefully, you know, God willing, everything will go back to semi-normal by this fall. And I'm very excited about that. A new normal, yes. Well, I've noticed from a design perspective, as you mentioned, people are needing, because we were all doing everything from home, right? We were working from home, we're doing distance learning from home. People needed dedicated spaces to be able to do that with some privacy, right? Because if you're a executive and you're at home doing meetings, and then your children are in another room doing their schoolwork, you don't want to be in an open space any longer. Are you noticing a need for more dedicated closed off spaces? You know, we were so into this open floor plan. Then we started to realize that an open floor plan is probably not as ideal when you're all under the same roof and in the same room doing everything from home 24/7.
Yeah, a dedicated workspace or Zoom room has been the hottest thing. Whether it's a den that's been converted into an office space, a third car garage that's been boarded and padded up and with walls and everything into, instead of a gym, they would do that into an office, or even a shed outside that's been converted into an office, especially when you have to have those calls for where you need full attention.
Sure.
Some of my clients were doing calls from their SUVs and their cars, because that's the most quiet space that they had, until we got them a new home that had a dedicated office there with an actual door enclosure itself. So
yeah, I know. I was seeing people hiding in their closets. I mean, I guess desperation breeds creativity. You got to find a space to do what you got to do.
Oh yeah, we've seen it. Walk-in closets in condos, 1-bedroom condos, converted into a full office. And then the second bedroom was a gym, because a lot of the amenities in these communities, whether it's townhouses, condo communities, or even country club communities, you weren't able to use the gym facilities or club rooms or clubhouses or anything. So you had to make it on your own. And that's where Bowflex and all these companies were selling out of all their equipment and goods.
Right. You couldn't even get a treadmill if you wanted to. It was just crazy. So all those people that had them sitting around collecting dust for years on end, you couldn't keep them in stock.
It used to be a glorified clothes hanger, and then people started to use it there. They started to use it. So.
Hey, I'm guilty myself. We bought one, and we converted half of our garage into a gym space because you couldn't go to the fitness centers anymore. They were all closed. So for sure, I see that a lot. So are you seeing buyers asking for very specific features? Are they looking now for extra bedrooms to be able to do these things? Or what is it that you're noticing?
Yeah, well, when we consult with a client, we always do a DNA sheet, a desires, needs, and ability, right? We find out what can you afford, but at the same time, what's the most important to you? And what we've seen just recently in the last year and a half is everybody wants that additional bedroom. Or they want that pantry, or they need to have that mud room, Or if the backyard's large enough, it has to have a pool. And if it doesn't have a pool, then can they put a pool in? Or now the hottest thing is putting in a accessory dwelling unit or adjacent dwelling unit, an ADU, for that office space or the she shed or, you know, man cave, whatever it may be that someone's looking for to have. Those are a lot of the big ticket items on the homes that are selling quickly right now.
Do you notice, because everybody was needing more space, are condo sales down because of that? Because people want a larger space, or what are you noticing about that?
100%. The condo and townhome market has just started to pick back up last month. Prior to that, there was a negative connotation with close proximity living because there are shared vents and too many shared spaces. Certain buildings, for example, in downtown San Jose, there's the Axis building. They have 329 units, but only 3 elevators to get to everything. So at that time, a lot of buyers wouldn't even go and tour these units. But now, because of the vaccines and people are feeling more comfortable and confident, they're going out there, and we're starting to see. 2-3 months ago, we had about half the amount of inventory was condos and townhomes on the market for more than 30 days. And the other half of inventory of 1,500 active and available in Santa Clara County were all single family homes, and they were selling less than we had less than a month of supply. It would sell within 4 days, 7 days. If it was listed too high, it would be closer to 30 days. And as soon as they did one price drop to where it should be, it sold almost immediately with multiple offers.
That's really interesting. I didn't even think about that, the whole shared situation affecting the overall sale. So just because you have a property here doesn't necessarily mean it's flying off the market. It depends on what it is that you're selling.
Yeah, and the ones that did sell off the market, those were more pied-à-terres, where people would pop in and pop out before they head out of San Jose, the Bay Area, to go back to LA, New York, Chicago, wherever they're from, and doing business in the Bay Area. So some of those condos, the prestigious ones that are more trophy properties, those still sold. Penthouse properties, penthouse-like properties, they still sold for a premium because those are exclusive.
Interesting. So tell me about what you think when people say, oh, we're in this housing bubble. Personally, I've been hearing this housing bubble thing for, like I said, well over a decade. You know, we had a little blip back in the day, 2007, 2008. It's been pretty strong ever since. So what's your feeling on that? Because I don't know. I keep telling people, you know, we are in a unique situation. We're in a unique location. And maybe the housing market and other markets are also strong right now, but they don't have the endurance that the Silicon Valley, the Northern California has.
Yeah, well, Silicon Valley, we're our own economy. If we really look at it, we have our own housing, our own jobs, so many jobs that sometimes it's not even filled. Right? If one engineer gets headhunted to another company, there's 3 more filling that position there. So in terms of demand, it's so high that we have this supply and demand issue here. When we have that, along with the most strictest lending we've ever seen, right? Back in 2004, 5, 6, and up to 7, why did we have that type of bubble explosion? Is because there was loose lending. You could fog a mirror and literally you get 1 loan, but you can get up to 4 loans. In some areas, you got up to 10 loans to purchase property, right? Nowadays, they look at everything except for your blood type and your shoe size before they fund your loan, and they double verify your employment records. So when I hear this about the housing bubble, there are hyperinflated markets due to people leaving the Bay Area. Right? When someone leaves the Bay Area and they go to Stockton, to Sacramento, to Benicia, to Hayward, or the East Bay, they're bringing their dollars that they earned here from equity and pumping that market up over there. So if there was any slowdown for any reason, and for me in the real estate business, I would look at it, a slowdown would be caused by an uptick of interest rates. So right now, affordability is the number one. Everyone can still afford. But once the interest rates go from 3.5% to 4.5% to 5% to 6%, those increases will really contract the buyer's purchasing power. And when that happens, if all that big buyer pool of everybody that can afford everything slows down, then we'll start to have more supply. More supply, then we'll have some type of plateau and potentially a market slight decline. But we're not looking at anything drastic at 20-30% decline, maybe 2 to 3%, 5% at most. But those secondary markets where everybody's leaving the Silicon Valley to, those may see 10%. But even those markets, the job market's so strong. So I don't have a crystal ball, but unless the interest rates get risen to a point of really messing up the affordability, that's where we're going to have some downfall. But right now, anybody who's obtained a loan, putting 20% down, 30% down, even up to 50% down that we see on our sales, they have a lot of equity. And we hear the talks about the forbearance and everything. Those who are in forbearance, we feel for you, but at the same time, there's equity involved. So if they had to sell their home because they could no longer afford it, they have equity to sell, and they still have a nest egg or equity to take, bring to a different market, or go back into the rental market there itself.
So what would you tell sellers right now? If they wanted to sell, obviously they're in a really good position for the most part. I mean, everybody's situation is a little bit different, but what would you advise a seller to do to prepare to get their property onto the market?
Well, like you said, really assess their situation. Are they looking to upsize or downsize? And can they afford purchase prior to selling, or do they need to do a concurrent sale? And if that's the case, then there are bridge loans, private equity, private money to really help them purchase and then sell. But for the most part, everybody is in that boat where I have to sell my property to qualify to purchase another home. And in doing so, the preparation process for their current home is where it's most important. If it's an area that the turnover is really quick and people are buying homes as is, then our recommendation would be to lightly paint, touch up, change out hardware, paint the exterior, upgrade your curb appeal, remove all personal items, simplify the home, stage and design, and then put the property on the market. But if it's a home that's very, very outdated and the seller doesn't have this magical number that we can attain, then we'll tell them to sell it as is. If not, then they have the time and the bandwidth to do some light renovations. More than happy to bring in our contractors, designers to ensure that they're getting the best ROI when it comes down to it. But their timeframes have to match.
Sure.
If they have kids that need to go to school in September, then, and right now is already in May, maybe right now is not the time to do a major renovation with permits and planning and all that good jazz to happen before they sell.
Right.
Maybe they should sell as is right now and have an expectation set. But even so, with price expectations on the market comparables, everyone's expectations is getting blown away. Unless they're a seller who just wants to test the market. Like Mike, everything in my neighborhood selling for 1.8. If you can sell it for 2.1, we'll sell it. I'm not here to test it. If I can sign down with this home sold. But there are sellers out there that are testing the market too. And that's where you see some variations of price decreases, and then they take it off the market, which there makes buyers feel this feeling of, that home didn't sell. Why didn't it sell? Is the market cooling off or slowing down? No, it's not. It was just that one outlier seller that was testing the market, and then they took it off. So long answer to your question.
No, it totally makes sense. I mean, every situation is so different. I saw the little video tour that you did of a property that I think is coming on the market, or you recently saw, I'm not really sure, but it was a dated property. So in that situation, you didn't do any upgrades. It was very clean. It looked like it was probably in good condition. It was probably original owner.
Original owner, 1966.
It was such a cute home. Like, I cannot wait to see what somebody, I mean, obviously I won't be privy to that, but I mean, somebody has a clean slate to work with. But in that type of situation where there would be so much work involved, it would not make sense to put the money in because you're not going to get the return and in the time frame that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, so all they did for that home, complete deep clean, grout cleaning, window cleaning, roof upgrades to just make sure that it is watertight. And then we painted the exterior, the interior, and changed out any trim or any little items that's needed. So the home showed very clean for a dated versus a home that's dated and feels dated when you come into it. When we first started talking with the sellers in November, there was a whole outline plan of painting, preparation, decluttering, organizing, and really getting it ready to go on the market. And the market timing, we timed, it's just so happened that it timed perfectly. That home was listed for 1.698 million, which is pretty high already for the area. And then it's in pending and contract for 1.9 million.
That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. I mean, it never fails to boggle my mind every time I see those numbers. It just kills me. So because the market is so hot,
yes,
there's a lot of talk. You don't even have to do anything. And, you know, on the one hand, you're probably right. You probably don't have to do a lot in order to sell your property. But what are your thoughts on doing, what is enough and what is worth doing in order to get the best price possible, right? Because everybody wants to sell quickly, which is clearly not an issue right now. But for top dollar, I mean, is it worth doing something in order to get that top dollar?
It's always worth doing preparation. It's always worth it to prepare the property. The number one first thing is to get it decluttered, organized, and paint is something that is so crucial, especially if you have different color paints in every single room or a lot of scuffs. I have 3 children, 9, 5, and 2. If I were to sell my home, I'm repainting all the walls because my kids, we have matte colored paint and their fingerprints are everywhere. So at least at a bare minimum, paint the property. Don't touch up because touch-ups are visible all the time and it just looks terrible. So, and
people always end up touching up with the wrong sheen, and it just, I'm sure you've seen it, it just looks like patchwork everywhere. Like the walls have a skin condition. It's a big problem.
There you go. No, it's at a bare minimum, paint.
Yes.
If carpets are horrendous, like they have track marks, change out the carpets, right? And if the flooring is really, really bad, and some of our sellers didn't have the funds to re-sand down the floors and re-stain. So what we did was add carpet on top of it. Okay. And then disclose that there is original oak wood floors below and that they can refinish them later. But at a bare minimum, paint, change out hardware, and then spruce up the landscaping on the exterior just to give it that fresh look, because that's what's going to invite people to the home there itself. And paint the door. The very first thing, that door should be painted, and the door handles and hardware should work. You shouldn't have to jiggle or, oh yeah, twist it to the left a little bit more just to get it. That's the first impression, and that's a terrible.
The fact that you even have to say that kills me, because honestly, I hear it all the time. I mean, what do you say to somebody who says, oh, why should we even bother? They're going to come in, they're going to rip everything out anyway.
Yes. I tell them that, okay, if you walked into your own home that first time, would you want to pay $1.9 million for this home? And
bingo. I'm interrupting my own podcast to let you know about a tool that I created to help those of you who may be feeling overwhelmed by the thought of a home renovation. When it comes to renovating your home, we know that you want to finish your project quickly and efficiently, especially when preparing a house to sell. In order to do that, you need to know what to do and in what order. The problem is there are many moving parts and it can be overwhelming. We believe renovating your home does not have to be difficult. It's all about understanding some key principles and having a plan. Over the past 2 decades, we have consulted on millions of dollars worth of real estate sales, and as a result, clients have done the happy dance all the way to the bank. Here's how you can do the same. Eliminate the guesswork and get your copy of the home selling edition of the Renovation Planner. The Renovation Planner was created to guide you through your home improvement process from start to finish. The planner will help you build your project plan so that you can renovate with confidence. This new edition will be available at therenovationplanner.com. That's therenovationplanner.com. If it's not live as of this recording, join the waitlist and you will be notified as soon as it's ready for purchase. In the meantime, you can also download our free guide to avoiding costly mistakes on your renovation projects so that you can stop spinning your wheels and start improving your home today. All the links are going to be in the show notes, or you can visit us at alicetchan.com for all the information that you need. Cheers to your soon-to-be new and improved home.
They would walk in and I'd say, here's the key. Go ahead, unlock as you're walking into a home that's not yours. What would you pay for? well, Mike, that's what we have you for. You're going to negotiate the best price. You're going to show this property. I go, well, it's going to be difficult for me to show this property when I can't get the door open because you're telling me jiggle to the left, jiggle to the right, pop it down, and then it'll open back up. And that's literally what you have to do. So if they're really unwilling to do any of the upgrades, then this is where Mike Bowie would bring in my concierge services of, hey, I'm happy to bring in my contractors and designers. And what we'll do is that we'll work out a commission that is going to be viable for both of us here, where I will go ahead and front load this money so that we can get these small items done. And then you'll pay me back upon closing. And that way I have a property that Mike Bowie's proud to put my name and this face on to represent.
That's very smart, because that's always been my sentiment is if I'm putting my name, especially with realtors, your face is splashed around town. Your face is on the front lawn. If you can't confidently smile and say, this property is literally your dream, then it's not worth doing at all. So yeah. I appreciate that. What are some of the things that buyers should expect? Because in a seller's market, upper hand is with the sellers, you know. What should they expect going into a transaction? Because I've heard crazy stories. I've had a recent client who said she finally got the house. It was her 7th house that she bid on, and she finally got it accepted. And she had to move an hour away, you know. So what would you advise buyers do right now? Because it is so challenging.
The most important thing buyers do is have set expectations. And their agent, whoever it may be, or their broker should really sit them down and let them know what's going on hyper local markets. Because there are certain pockets that have the trifecta of the schools, right? They have the best elementary, right, middle, and high school. And they're within that area where everybody wants it to be. Like we have an area called Willow Glen in San Jose. And the lifestyle there is just absolutely amazing. So these homes we used to sell for 1.6 million are all selling for $2 million now. But they're still being listed at a trend of 1.6 to 1.7, although they sell for 2. Right? You violate going against the trend and you put transparent at 2 million, the buyers are going to think, well, there's a $300,000 delta in this area. This seller is out of whack. They're listing for 2 million. I think they want 2.3, so they don't show that house or they don't see that house. So you have to list within that trend, and it just doesn't look transparent to anyone who's on the market. So your agent should be able to decipher through that and say, look, this is a listing trend in the area. Everything's selling for 20% above the list price. So anything that you see, but at the same time, what's your comfortability of reading home inspection, termite, roof, foundation reports, and all that good stuff, and HOA documents? Are you willing to go non-contingent? And we'll share with you what non-contingency means, right? There's the buyers who are not as aggressive, and there's the conservative buyer and the moderate buyer. If you're conservative in your home buying process, sure, let's make 1 or 2 offers and lose and see where we stack up against these 11 offers. Maybe the third one, you're willing to go more aggressive and go non-contingent on your inspections. Your appraisal be willing to cover the difference, and your loan get fully underwritten pre-approved versus just a pre-qualification. So it's all about education, because anything afterwards becomes an excuse as an agent. Like my team and I, we're big on education. And if you educate your buyers and your clients ahead of time, when things do happen, they know why, versus when things do happen, you're trying to explain it to them, and that sounds like an excuse, and that's just terrible. So.
Yeah. So what do you say? I was just watching this little parody video that's I think a realtor made about the current situation, right? So let's just say you're working with a buyer, and obviously there's multiple offers happening, and you want to be reasonable. You want a house. You're you know, people are very motivated to purchase a home, but let's just say that. Well, okay, let me ask you this. Are you at a disadvantage if you're not willing to take a property as is, right? Because right now, if there's multiple offers and the least amount that a seller needs to do is probably most desirable from them, that's most attractive to them. So if you're a buyer who was not comfortable with buying something as is, are you at a disadvantage? I mean, are you pretty much SOL basically? I mean, because somebody else is willing to do that.
Yeah, you are at a disadvantage. But a way to kind of alleviate from the stress and the anxiety of buying a home as is to ensure that when you're reviewing through sellers disclosures and inspection reports, that your agent has a lineup of handyman, contractors, plumbers, electricians to go over that with you, and then tell you, at least give you a synopsis of what it would cost for them to address those issues, so that you're comfortable with going into a property as is and knowing the wherewithal of what major items, red flag items, and then how to solve those items and what it would cost. And that's how our buyers would go into a property, non-contingent or as is. But if they're already selling a property and they're buying another property, usually those buyers who are current sellers, they understand everything and they're willing to go as is, non-contingent, because all those are minor items. Unless it's a big ticket item like a foundation issue or a major roof issue or plumbing issue or even sewer lateral issue, those are the ones where you need to get further investigations before you go as is. Otherwise, when you get into it, it could be something bigger than you expected it to be.
So, and I guess this is an individual situation. If you know you're coming up on a bidding war, what should buyers expect? Is there kind of a benchmark to say, or even as a realtor, do you go in saying, listen, like you said, it's listed for 1.6, but on average, everybody's selling for significantly higher than the asking. And they do this on purpose because then it draws in additional eyeballs to a particular property, right? So what can somebody expect, and how can they prepare themselves for that type of transaction?
Yeah, it's to look at comparables early on. So for example, Alice, if you hired me to help you buy a property and you said, Mike, I want to be in Almaden Valley or I want to be in Los Gatos, and you tell me that I need a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 2,500 square feet or so, I'd run an analysis early on and share with you the list to sold price ratio and how long they were on the market for. And a lot of the homes are on the market for 4 days before they go.
Oh my God.
And they sell for $300,000 to $500,000 more. So at least by giving you that early on, you have clear expectations versus just me, Mike, telling you, hey, this market's over 300,000 on everything. I've ran an analysis. I've sent it to you. We've looked through it. We can even drive the neighborhoods, and you're going to see, oh, wow, I can see why. This one has a larger lot. There's more potential on this one. This one's walking distance to the schools and to downtown Los Gatos. Then that's why people paid so much more for that lifestyle. And you have a clear expectation set. So it's not like Mike's just trying to get you to win on this house. But then I also ask you, what's your ability to pay? Have you gotten a pre-approval yet? Or I send you the 3 references to my great lenders that I've used, and then you go through that process, and now you know that there is where you lie with being able to purchase within the area. So it's just setting the proper expectations. Most people don't. Somebody wants to go tour a property. Sure, I'm Johnny on the spot. I'll go show you that property right now. Oh, you're pre-approved for 1.8. Oh, this home's listed for 1.8, but it's sell for 2.1 million. Then that's bad news for everyone there. So we like to first off, just so that we could set the right expectations.
We're not in a place where we're doing regular open houses yet, right? Public open houses.
It is now. So it's just
okay.
Just
okay.
Week, but we still have to abide by the protocols. There's this form that all realtors love so much. It's called the. And I say that with as much sarcasm. It's called
I just signed one of those actually.
Permission to Entry Advisory Declaration.
Yes, the PED.
It's been a document that we all have to sign for every single property that we go tour. So nowadays for open houses, during the open house time slot, people can come through, but we have to abide by 6 foot, still social distancing, gloves, PPE, all that good stuff. Since I knew you were going to add that, my team, we prepped these together. And
well, look at you.
all in front of the house, it has, black gloves because, you still got to have some fashion. You can't wear those purple.
Right?
You're not going to surgery now. You're going to look at the house. So you got to make it look nice and fun, plenty of shoe coverings and all that good jazz.
Okay. Well, I feel like, if you're local, you kind of understand what's happening locally. Have you had any buyers from out of state, out of the area completely, who is just totally taken aback by what's happening here in our area?
What's interesting with your question, people who are selling anywhere or buying anywhere, they're all going through the same thing. It's a nation. So when they come to the Bay Area and they just sold a home in Chicago or something,
yeah,
they know how crazy it is over there. But here, it's a major sticker shock because you get way less square footage for much more price.
100%.
So it's a little bit of a sticker shock. But now with the open houses again, you literally have lines like Din Tai Fung, except for if you don't win, you're not eating anything at all, and you just wait.
No, you're not. Bread and water for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just have one last question for you to close this out. You gave us lots of great information, and I think, everybody just needs to be prepared. Find the best representative to assist you, whether it's buying or selling, and be informed and be educated about what's happening, and be prepared in every way. What has been the craziest story in terms of real estate for you in the past year? Pandemic has already created so much chaos, but what was the most insane thing that's happened to you?
So we sold a house for an investor, and we had 30 days to sell the house. They purchased the house at an auction block, renovated it, and put it up on the market with us. Coming to find out that this house was a former meth house.
Shut up.
No. It was insane. It was insane. My business partner and I had only 30 days to sell this house for one. Went into a great contract, and then now was learning not only about what to do to clean up a meth house, but we were in that house, showing that house, preparing that house, shooting video and marketing, and everybody involved in that process was exposed. So I just felt the worst for our stager designer because she brought all this furniture in. So my business partner and I, we actually ordered test kits and tested the furniture, the wall art that was placed on the walls, because the walls had a really high amount of methamphetamine on it.
Okay, wait. Just to back up a little bit. So when you find out that a property was used for these purposes, what is the protocol with that? I mean, what are the negative ramifications? How did that affect you? I mean, why is it such a big deal?
Because there could be health ailments and issues in the future. So what we did was we looked up a company that handles the remediation.
Mm-hmm.
They tested it for hours, pieces of the walls, flooring, everything, and gave a analysis as what it would cost for them to scrape everything, clean everything out. Then we went into a full-blown renegotiations with the buyer. Good thing the buyer didn't walk away. They were okay with some remediation work and negotiations. Our seller was 100% on board, ready to go with working with them throughout the process. And we just kind of stayed in the middle to make sure that everybody on all sides was happy and satisfied with the findings and what we're looking to do. We closed transaction on it, and we literally washed our hands of the property and called it a day. But that was, it makes for an amazing story because we're learning new every day. The pandemic did not make things easier. We became professional house cleaners. I used more lotion than ever on my hands because they kept on cracking from all the sanitizer. But we adjust, we pivot. We had our best year yet last year. And, I would say by putting new necessary protocols in place, it challenged us and it made it better in our business. And just moving forward, we can pivot a lot better and then adjust to whatever climate that we're in and then just help our clients and do good.
That's amazing. Oh, that's an awesome story. I love it. We'll see.
The first time I shared it too.
Oh, really? Now, the investment company, were they aware of that to begin with? Really? So how did it come to light though?
So the buyer's side did some investigations on the former tenants that lived there, and there were some police reports that people there were using meth. But there was no remnants of actual paraphernalia. So the buyer himself brought a little test kit and just tested one of the walls, and it came back crazy. So then we opened up this whole can of worms, and we said, hey, we'll grab the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
We'll make this work. And we had to go through the process, and everybody's happy. So.
Well, congratulations on an amazing year, and COVID made everybody a little more flexible, it seems like. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was great information. I think a lot of people will be able to take a lot from this.
Totally. Well, thank you for having me on your podcast. So great to reconnect with you, Alice.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, have a great day. Talk to you again soon.
Ciao.
Bye.
You just tuned into an episode of the Behind the Renovation podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to leave us a review on iTunes and share this with your friends on social media. Just make sure to tag me at Alice T. Chan on Instagram. For all the deets on today's show, please visit us at alicetchan.com and click on podcast to access all the show notes from today's episode. Imagine me raising a glass, a mug in this case, to you on your renovation journey. Cheers to your new and improved home.